and welcome to the Arrow Panel, episode 43. It's a dance game discussion show where we discuss dance games. I am one of your co-hosts, Dalton Rumberg, aka Blue Chow, at Run Dalton Run on Twitter.
Hello, I am Demo, aka Omid, at Bromede, and to my left is...
I'm Roger Clark, at Roger Clark on Twitter.
And with us today, we have a very, very special guest. I don't know how we have not had her on the show before.
For real.
Fan favorite and winner of Valkyrie Ascension, Ambones. Amber, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, our pleasure.
And you're joining from Seattle, right?
I am, and I still have kind of a broken voice from this weekend, so thanks for bearing with me.
I think we all do.
Yeah,
We've
all
just
do.
been yelling a lot.
What was the word you used earlier, Roger?
Crusty.
Crusty. We're all just crusty crustaceans. Don't mind us.
Yeah, so we just got done with Infinity Stage, which was a very, very large music game tournament here in the Bay Area in San Jose at round one, where we had more than 200 entrants total, I guess, including spectators, among 7 different music games.
And 10 tournaments.
10 tournaments. Infinite hype.
Infinite stages.
Yeah, it was...
There were actually a limited amount of stages.
There were.
Yeah, it was quite the tournament. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, for DDR, we had 122 people enter the tournament. We had to stop letting people join because if we kept going, then we might not have been able to actually finish the tournament. So we had 122 people entered. I'm assuming that if we hadn't capped it, we probably would have gotten 2,000 or 3,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So
sounds accurate.
It was a great tournament. I had a lot of fun. I was the TO for DDR and definitely got a lot of help from a bunch of other people, including Dalton here and Omid. And
Amber on commentary.
And Amber on commentary. So it was pretty much a huge team effort. Kind of the whole DDR community came together to celebrate what we all love, which is music games.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a great time. Super fun tournament, like probably the most fun I've ever had. And Amber actually participated in a couple DDR tournaments. How'd those go, Amber?
They were so great. I feel like I was pretty purely on the participant side, aside from just, some commentary. But the Valkyrie Ascension tournament, which was the first in-person tournament for Valkyrie Dimension, was just beyond incredible. I think it was over 40 women who participated, which is just absolutely astounding. And then I also played in Upper for DDR, which was also incredible. So it's 3 long, tough days, but I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you probably played more matches than anybody else that weekend.
Probably.
Having to run through Valkyrie pools, and you did the top 4 round robin for Valkyrie Dimension, and then you made it into top 16 for Upper. I mean, you were hauling.
Can you talk a little bit about the Valkyrie Dimension tournament and like what exactly it is and what it means to you?
Sure. It's really hard to say all of this in words, but I will do my best just to do it justice. But Valkyrie Dimension is a tournament series run by the Galaga ship. You can check it out at valkyriedimension.com. But up to this point, it's been, I think, three remote tournaments. So all, go to your local arcade, participate, play a certain set of songs against, different women around the U.S. and also internationally, which has been really exciting. And it's culminated now in what just happened, which was the Valkyrie Ascension tournament. So the first in-person version of this. So still, under the Valkyrie Dimension umbrella, but it was TO'd in this case by Sarah from California, as well as Cygnus too. So they both really rallied to put together, just a really incredible experience for women to join, compete together. And it broke off in this case into 2 divisions. So lower division was about 10 ladies. Upper division was, I think, a little over 30. And it was just incredible. It was like an atmosphere unlike anything I've ever experienced. And through really the remote tournament series, you get to communicate and compete and chat with and encourage so many different women through the internet. So getting to actually meet people, I think like any tournament, right, that you get to participate in, go to in person, it's just so powerful to put faces to names. And yeah, it was really, really exciting. It was really unlike anything else. And the competition was just absolutely incredible. So can't sleep on, anyone who really played in the tournament either.
The competition is actually insane. Like I know through some of the remote tournaments that Amber is alluding to, I know for Valkyrie Arena, which was like a big team light versus dark themed kind of tournament, 2 women, Malia and Elaine, they were like constantly tying. These 2 women were like top tier rivals. Like they're constantly tying on song week after week, and they're both getting better together. And that is like kind of what I've seen as a third party, like spectator basically in this community. 2 people I play with the most are women, Jez and Sarah. Shout outs to them. But yeah, like it's so cool seeing you all just like elevate each other and get good together through competing. And I just like love that it exists, and like it's just the tournament was so fun to watch. Round robin was so hype, and that PFC on the 17 by Eggy, like those moments of like you have really reached the pinnacle of DDR. Like 17 PFCs in a tournament it's absolutely ludicrous. Like I don't know how many we saw that in the main tech tournament.
Not that many.
I would say like less than 3. 2 maybe?
I mean, if you don't count Chris.
Sure. Well, Chris is not really on this plane of existence, but utterly super impressive showing.
Yeah, Eggy got Be a Hero, and then
51.
Yeah, 51
perfect.
New personal best, which was crazy to see in person.
Yeah.
Like the crowd was going wild.
Absolutely.
And didn't Elaine and Malia, like, they tied during their match?
Infinity Stage.
They tied.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Those 2 can't not tie. Like,
apparently.
They're
There were so many close matches. Like, even the top 4 round robin, which, you were part of, Amber.
Yes.
There were just so many matches that were, like, 10 EX or less.
Yeah, and I think just to talk about that a little bit, I mean, Eggy's 17 PFC is probably the reason why I lost my voice. Just like, I could not stop screaming. I was so excited watching that. And then, the other women in the top 4, Kat is incredible. She got 1 miss on Prey, the 18, which was incredible to see. So just like blew past her personal best. She also competed in literally every tournament that weekend. And I think she got second for the Infinity Cup, which is just unreal. Like, I was so tired playing in 2 tournaments. I can't imagine just, how she rallied that much energy to do that. And then looking at, Sarah to close out, the round robin top 4, she I think AAA'd every 17 that she played, and she played a lot of 17s in the round robin. And she was also TOing. It was just really like, absolutely blown away just by the top 4. And I mean, I was petrified of each and every one of them. And I think anyone listening should be in facing them in literally any tournament.
I would not want to face any of you in a tournament.
Yeah, me neither.
So what do you guys think is the hardest part? I mean, Amber, you mentioned, Kat entering all the tournaments and being, exhausted, and you only being in 2 and being exhausted. Like, what do you guys think is the hardest part about these, like, big, like, multi-day tournaments?
It's a good question.
As a competitor or as a spectator. I mean, for me, it's just kind of like having to balance everything. Like, you're trying to play, and then you're also trying to socialize. You're meeting a bunch of new people, and then the people who are helping out with the tournament. You're doing all that, like it it's it's a lot of fun, but it's also kind of stressful sometimes.
Yeah, I think I have a slightly different answer from the three of you because I'm, if you don't know this, I'm type 1 diabetic. And so for me, like my main concern is just like being at the right blood sugar level so that I can focus on the game and not like either pass out from like hyper or hypoglycemia. Like I actually had to battle through what I thought was like starting to be ketoacidosis this weekend. Like my blood sugar for some reason spiked to like 350, which like normal level is like 70 to 100.
Oh wow.
And one of the symptoms is like needing to vomit. And so like I was in the bathroom like thinking that I was sick, and I looked at my blood sugar and it was like crazy elevated. So that's something that I have to struggle with, is just like for tournaments my main focus is like make sure my blood sugar isn't out of whack. Other than that, I would say it's all about focus, and it's all mental. I need to keep my mental game straight. I know I'm good enough. I know I have the technical skill, and so for me, it's just like I'm not going to get nervous, and if I am, I'm going to channel it into like MFC energy, right? It's like public speaking technique where you try to channel your nervous energy into being excited about what you're about to do. So yeah, those I would say it's just like health and or mental.
Yeah.
Is for me. What do you both think?
I think that these multi-day events are, it's one of those things where you have to go into it knowing what you're getting into and sort of budget your time and energy on various like concerns. And I think that definitely I heard from a lot of people, they were like, oh yeah, like I think eating is important, and thankfully I think most of the tournaments nowadays, or the really big ones, I guess we can officially call them majors now, the major tournaments have all moved to that pool format where you have these mini tournaments that are staggered throughout the day, and you know when you're going to be in a match and when you're not, so you can go and take care of yourself and go sit in a quiet room. There were plenty of times over the weekend where I just, I was like, can I get away for 10 minutes so I can go outside and sit in the silence for 10 minutes just so I can, reorient my psychology to come back and do it some more. And I think this discussion ties into what I wanted to talk about mostly tonight, which is how to stay motivated and what gives you motivation to play DDR as much as we do, and to keep playing, to keep trying, and all that stuff. I think the tournament in general was like really big for me in terms of motivating me to want to keep playing again. So I had spent a bunch of time trying to organize the DDR tournament, and I hadn't actually been playing that much over the past few months. And now that it's over, I saw players like Amber and Omid and Dalton the whole time, and I'm like, I gotta get good again. And it's just like, I think that's kind of what I'd like to talk about tonight, is because I think that there's a lot of players who, they kind of, you stop playing for a couple weeks, and then it turns into 3 weeks, turns into 4 weeks, and then before long you're out of the game. And how do you get back in?
Yeah, I think it's a great topic, and I think, Amber, I've seen you tweet like maybe 4 times since the tournament ended, I love Dance Dance Revolution. So maybe you would be great to kind of kick us off, and like where are those tweets coming from? Like what, like going back to what Roger just touched on, like what keeps you loving Dance Dance Revolution? What motivates you to keep coming back?
Totally. And it's such a hard question because I feel like it can be so deeply personal. So I have probably known all 3 of you for years and years and years now. And I've been playing dance games for probably over 15 years at this point, with a very long, very, very long break somewhere in the middle. And I just started playing Ace again maybe a year and a half ago. So I remember, picking it back up, and DDR was so hard, and it was so scary going back into the game because the whole interface is very unfamiliar. you have some nostalgic songs that you can connect to, but there's so much new content, and the difficulty is just so like off a cliff compared to, you know, my comfortable days of DDR Extreme and Max 300. I don't need to play it. It's one of like 3 or 4 boss songs. That's fine.
Yeah,
and
we
I
didn't
think,
have
you know,
Pluto the First back then.
Oh my god.
right.
I don't think I would be playing today if that was the case.
Yeah, worrying about one stop in Max 300.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
enough.
have you played Pluto the First?
Yeah. So I mean, I think for me it was like it initially just started back with the novelty of playing again, and then just being able to see and be re-energized by the community. So seeing, I mean, just what top tier players are capable of, and, you know, being absolutely blown away by that, and thinking, you know, back of my head, I can never achieve that. And honestly, you know, for me, I think the biggest turning point in just my own progression forward was playing in the first Valkyrie Dimension remote tournament. So I remember at that point, you know, I'd passed maybe 5 18s, and I got my highest score on an 18 in that tournament, which was I think like a 920 on Elemental Creation Challenge. And I was like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable playing hard songs, and they're so hard, but I did not know I was capable of getting over a 900K on one of these songs. So I'm going to keep trying to do that. So I think for me, one of my biggest motivations is, you know, the game is still feels fairly new. I dropped off the face of the earth for a while, came back in, whole new game, but just the community is so accepting and so motivating, and there's so much content to learn that, you know, when you're starting out especially, just find stuff that is really fun and that you enjoy, and get connected to the game in that way, and then see what you can do to push your boundaries. So I think for me it is just, I'm at this point where I'm continuing to push my boundaries of what I'm capable of, and, you know, at this point I have 2 18 AAAs, which is crazy. And just like, I'm so excited to see what happens next, because I just don't know. I've never played this hard in my life, and it's the coolest thing to like look back at my scores a year ago compared to what I'm doing today. So for me, it is just seeing that progression too.
Did you guys have any particular matches in the tournament that you thought, like, you were like, okay, like I want to leave the tournament and I want to go play, and like what about that made you want to do that?
My match against Steven, Ninja Far, I think kind of made me feel like that. We'd both not really been playing DDR that much lately. Like, I took a couple month break, and he's been focusing on ITG and stuff. And I've had to face him in I don't even know how many tournaments.
Yeah, it seems like it always happens.
It always happens. And I think I was trying to figure out with him, like, the last time I had beat him in a tournament, which was like 2008 US Open ITG2 tournament. So, you know, it'd been like over a decade, but, you know, still just getting to play against him. And, like, you know, we grew up kind of in Fresno playing together. I mean, it just kind of ties to the whole sense of the community that, you know, Amber talked about. I mean, I think that's the biggest driver for me is really just the community. It's just like I have so many friends, and just like even people I'm not like super close with that, you know, I just kind of want to motivate them to play too. You know, that's why we do this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
And run tournaments and everything, like trying to, you know, like even if I'm not playing as much as I used to, or I'm not as good of a player as I used to be, it's just kind of being a part of the community and like, you know, trying to sort of give back.
Absolutely.
I mean, so that's a big part of my motivation, at least. And like, I still do enjoy playing, but and Amber had mentioned nostalgia too, and so that's kind of how I felt in that match against Steven, is that it just felt like the old days playing at Nickel Arcade. Just a little bit different songs.
I was really impressed by the fact that you chose Spanish Snowy Dance Challenge as your pocket pick, and we can talk a little bit about the pocket pick thing here in a moment. But you chose that song, and from what I could see when we were doing the commentary, like watching the match, Steven had a better score than you.
Which I was not aware of. I think I realized after the fact that I had picked it, I was like, oh wait, I think Steven has this. I mean, because we had to select the pocket pick before the bracket began.
Yeah.
So you only knew your first match, and I guess you could kind of like look ahead before you chose what your pocket pick was, but so you can't super like counter it against somebody. And actually I don't even know why I picked that. I was kind of going back and forth between, I mean, I had played it like earlier in the day or the day before in a match or like in a warm-up set or something, and I got like 5 greats on it. I was like, oh yeah, this is a really technical song. Like this, might be, trip people up. Like people don't like playing it. I really like it. Like
it's hard as hell.
No one
wants to play
it's
that.
impossible.
No one wants to play that.
It's one of my favorite 17s. I mean, my other options that I was considering were Schrodinger's Cat Challenge because I just love that chart.
Same.
And Air Heroes Challenge, I was thinking, because I recently PFC'd that like twice in the same day, but I was like, I don't know, that ending is so fickle. Like,
yeah, and Steven's MA is very good.
Yeah, that too. And then somebody like later was like, oh, what about Idola Challenge? I was like, oh, I forgot. Forgot about Idola, even though I PFC'd it.
So in this tournament, we copied a mechanic called Pocket Pick from the Mistake on the Lake tournament by Renatalis. And the Pocket Pick mechanic is, so during the tournament, before the bracket begins, you choose one song within a specific range. In this case, it was 15 through 19, that you could choose any song where at one point during the tournament, whenever you were drawing your songs, you could replace one of the random songs with your song, and you would basically guarantee that you played it. And we kind of wanted to do this because the tendency in DDR tournaments nowadays has tended to be every match is a set of random songs, and there's not a whole lot of strategy going in there. There's a little bit of strategy whenever what we do is veto one song for each player. Each song gets a choice of one song to eliminate from the list, but aside from that, it's there's not a whole lot of strategy or a whole lot of personalization involved. So the pocket pick mechanism is a way for us to sort of go back to the days of pick random, where you have this song that you're really good at and you want to use it against someone. So I think it makes for like really good story for when you're talking about the match, and also I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
I like it a lot because I count on my MA to win me matches and not so much my ability to like full combo 19s like some people whose names rhyme with Chris Chike. So I think it's just like like you said, not only do you get to pick those laser focused songs that maybe you've practiced while others haven't, it's also just a chance for you to show off like, look, this is my song, and if you want to beat me on it, you got to get like 5 you got to get 3 perfects.
I was going to say, you got 4.
Right.
On...
So I think it's just like, I totally agree with you, Roger. Like, it's super fun. Like, as we try to elevate DDR as an esports, like, we need these through lines that are just like, for me, the perfect analogy in my head that I always imagine is like the old school WWF, WWE music anthems. Like when you hear the glass break, it's Stone Cold about to like come in and like stunner people, right? So I think it's like that kind of feeling of like, it's like you see the card draw and you're like, nope, Watatsumi, and it's like they're like, oh no, it's going down, right? It's like it's popping off, like that. That's really fun, I think.
Now I'm just imagining you like walking out to a wrestling arena as Watatsumi is just like blasting.
No, but I think it's a really cool idea, and I think we should even continue to evolve what kind of not just nostalgic draw, but what kind of extra metagaming can we add to tournaments that makes it more exciting, both for spectators, because I think there's an element there that we're not really tapping into. Like, can spectators have some influence on the outcome? Can they vote, etc.? Or like more personal strategy of like, for example, like I feel like I could beat Chris on 15 to 16s. Like I really feel like I'm more consistent than he is. But can I beat him on 17 to 19s? probably like 1 out of 30 songs, like on just the chance that he gets tired. You know what I mean? So it's like, so for me, like I'm at a heavy disadvantage the further we go in the tournament because I just haven't practiced that skill set. But what if I could draw on my skill set and beat him at something that maybe he is weaker than me at? So I don't know.
Exactly.
There's a lot of area to play with.
Do you have any opinions about the pocket pick mechanism, Amber?
Oh, several. I mean, I love it. Like, I totally love it because it's just such an interesting element of strategy. But I think even outside of that, it's such a cool thing, you know, to look at card draw tournaments where it really is just a roll of the dice on what you're going to play. But the pocket pick gives you the ability to really see some players play their absolute best game, which is so much fun. So I think, you know, sitting back and watching, you know, Omid go ahead and get 4 on Watatsumi, that's so exciting because it is, you know, it's something that is very strategic and it's something where that's the song you wanted to play, and just seeing people crush the songs that they are excited about is such a different atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, I feel like in these tournaments with Infinity Stage, I got it totally like both ways, where it was pocket picks against me, I got just destroyed on, but the other way, you know, really being able to play my best. So just as an example, and this is kind of funny, Dalton, going back to you too, where I got Air Heroes picked on me as a pocket pick, and I'm terrible at that song. I have not taken the time to learn it. I know it's frustrating. I know there are a lot of turns. It has been on my back burner for a long time, and Eggy, who picked it against me, knew that. So it was such a good move on her part, and for me, you know, feeling very exposed in a tournament, that was my match where I immediately wanted to go back and just go to the arcade and practice that song. So just, yeah, like Fresno Frenzy, if you were there for the trigger incident, that was how I felt with Air Heroes here. But at the same time, you know, going in and being able to, in top 16 for DDR Upper, pick Ishtar Challenge, which is one of my favorite songs, and just confidently nail it the way that I knew I could. It just felt really good to get that level of play in there before, you know, I got kicked out of the tournament. But,
I mean, that's a risk.
Yeah.
That's a risky pick.
It is.
Like probably like the riskiest pick you could pick. I feel like, or like
not if you're Amber.
Well, exactly. No, but I mean, like that's crazy that like I would not.
Yeah, I would never pick that.
I would
I'm gonna get a shock arrow. I'm gonna get like 10 misses in a row.
Yeah. No, I mean, so just for you to be that confident at that song,
Right.
which I know that you are, it's just wild. I mean, so I think the pocket picks also add another layer of excitement of when somebody picks their pocket pick. You know, the crowd. We need some better way of telling the crowd when people pick their pocket pick.
Yeah.
Or like showing the card draw. Like,
There's a lot of stuff that we can do.
for the
Air horns,
yeah.
trap beats.
But you know, like, you know, at least the stream audience, we can tell them like, oh, so and so used their pocket pick, like, and you know that builds a little bit of hype of like, oh dang,
Just have like a pocket pick sound effect. Pocket pick.
With some like splash animation, like some confetti.
So I mean, there's that aspect of it, but also when people get upset on their pocket picks,
Yeah.
it adds another level of hype. Like, oh, like you know, they got beat on their own song, kind of.
That happened to me because Sappy didn't realize that I had a higher score than him on Triple Journey Challenge.
Oh wow.
Because he had 998 even, and I had 998 400.
Yeah. So
And that was his pocket
a
pick.
grade or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up beating him on MA. So
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, strategy that goes into it, like when to use it, because you only get it once per tournament. So it's like, are you just trying to make it out of top 16? Like, do you use it that first round of top 16 just so that you can like have a better shot of making it to the next round? Or do you want to save it if you're, you know, going into the next round, you know, thinking you might need it like a little bit deeper into the tournament? So there, you have to kind of like weigh that since you can only use it once.
Well, maybe that could be a good bridge. Maybe before we get into some, Twitter has a bunch of questions for us and Amber, which we can get to. But do you guys want to talk about strategy maybe a little bit? Like, how do you go match by match and plan kind of how you're going to focus on that round? Would that be an interesting topic? You guys have any
Sounds
thoughts
good
on
to me.
Strategy. So Amber, for you, like, maybe we can start with, like, you don't have to call people out, obviously, but like when you go into a match, let's all highlight like our close matches, right? Like our people we consider our rivals. Like, what are the things that go through your head? How are you trying to strategize?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I was super, super lucky to be part of a lot of hype matches. So I think looking at, yeah, I don't know what my closest one was. I'm going to talk about the one that I used my pocket pick on for Valkyrie Ascension, and that was mine against Eggy, where we got a pretty gnarly draw. So I forget what song she replaced her pocket pick with, but I ended up using my pocket pick, which was Roppongi D, to replace Pluto Relinquish Challenge. So I think... And then I think our third song, what was our third song? It was something else. But just looking at the card draw as a whole, I knew going into that match that Eggy, where she is better than I am in every way, is stamina, and her timing is still very solid. So I was looking at it like, okay, I'm ready to use my pocket pick if I'm going to get hard songs drawn against me. And she's also somebody, we play together a lot locally in Seattle. Our home arcade is the same one for DDR. So I think it was just, fortunately at that point, knowing sort of her strengths, knowing my own weaknesses and acknowledging those, and really looking for, like, is this the opportunity, knowing that I have another match in my future to use my pocket pick. It felt like the right time, and it was. But yeah, I think it was just being able to make that decision a little bit ahead of time. And then if we should probably talk a little bit too about seeding and how qualifiers impact that all. Because for me, fortunately, I seeded first for the Valkyrie tournament, and that gave me a little bit more flexibility, it felt like, though the card draw was pretty brutal.
You should touch on that. I mean, so what did seeding first give you? Like, how did that help you in the tournament?
Yes. So every time I could, whether it was for DDR uppers or for Valkyrie, I always wanted to veto second. I always wanted to protect second. And I think it is just based on the chance that your opponent is going to veto the thing that you wanted to veto anyway. And also, getting more information out of them too. So looking for the things that they're thinking about, trying to have a little bit of a poker face, which I am bad at. We all know. We all know there's no hiding, emotions from me. But yeah, just trying to get a little bit more of a read that way, to see, what they're questioning, their own skill sets on. And then I think it really was, for me, just coming down to the songs I felt confident in, not necessarily the ones where I felt like I had more of an edge in terms of PB or anything else. It was just, what am I feeling right now? Because tournament days are long and exhausting. You eat weird, you sleep weird. So trying to go a little bit more intuitively too.
Sweet.
We're all getting so old. Remember
So
we used to
old.
pile 10 people into a hotel room, and you would just sleep on the floor. If we
And
tried,
wake up and get really good scores the next day.
yeah,
Yeah.
just get trashed the night before.
I remember 4 locos
Yeah.
and
Oh,
tournaments.
no.
And I what?
How did we do that? Now it's
Wow.
oh, I only got 8 hours of sleep last night. I'm so tired. And just pounding through 3 monsters to function.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think strategically it really depends on the tournament rules, obviously, and whether the songs that come up in the card draw, whether the pocket pick mechanic is there. And whenever obviously the first thing you think about is what do I know the person I'm playing? What are they good at? What are they not good at? And what am I better than them at anything at all? And that's a difficult thing, especially if you don't know the players. And at least when, in most modern tournaments we have, pretty standardized seeding where you know whether they're the high seed or the low seed. But in the cases when it's close, like I think that there's a lot of players, especially nowadays, who have made a lot of advances in like how good they are, and I think that if you don't keep up with everybody who's playing in these tournaments, then you might be wrong.
I totally agree with that.
There were so many instances, and I think that as far as the motivation topic goes, watching so many players in this tournament who are so much better now than I thought that they were, like the first name that comes to mind is Max Cerna ML.
Yep.
Who
top 16?
Like he played so well during that tournament.
I mean, he was top 8.
Top 8.
Yeah, he played so well during that tournament. Mm-hmm. I remember, last year or maybe a couple of years ago when we were playing in tournaments and we were doing pretty much the same. He was getting scores that are like very similar to mine. And I was like, oh yeah, we're basically the same. And like watching him in this tournament, I'm like, if I would have played him, I could have made just like the absolute wrong decisions on like what to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think strategically paying attention to everybody in the scene is like actually important.
100%.
If you want to be a competitive player, which I'm assuming half the people who are listening to this do, like being familiar with like what the players are getting, like the scores that they're posting,
mm-hmm.
like what they're proud of, the stuff that they're not posting about, like do they post about Air Heroes, like Expert and like Starmine, or do they post about Pluto the First and Chaos? Yeah. And it's like,
right.
So you just got to kind of feel it out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's that guy T3 Lies.
T3A.
Yeah.
T3A. Milk
Wow.
T, who is from SoCal.
Yeah.
But just like
he's a San Diego player.
Yeah, he kind of dumpstered everybody.
Yeah.
He was going off. Yeah,
like just every tournament that he shows up at, he just gets better and better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's really active on Twitter. I mean, he might be in Discord or something, but I just like if I had to play him in a tournament, I'd be like, I have no idea what you're good at. But he played like Blew My Mind Challenge or like something and just like destroyed it, which I had to play it against Sappy and I got wrecked on it. Like,
yeah, what would have even happened if you would have played him?
Yeah,
he's really good.
Yeah,
same with Desk Lamp.
Yeah, like
so
and
good.
Ridiculous scores.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a good idea if you're listening and you want to win tournaments, don't post your scores and just
fly under the radar.
Don't let anyone know what you're good at.
I can say though, like I was second seed, and I agree with everything Amber said, and I don't care if you share or do not share your scores because I am the type of capital G gamer that will go on EMUs and stalk your data no matter whether it's you're sharing it or not, just so I'm aware of where you're at skill level wise.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely for me the first thing I do when I look at my bracket is I look at my potential paths. Like if I lose at this match, I go here. Then I would play this person or this person, this person or this person. And so I'm looking at everyone's scores. I know where everybody is. I take meticulous notes. I know what I'm supposed to play versus everybody. And for people that I play with all the time, like Stretch, Dalton, Chris, like NorCal, my NorCal family, like I already know you all, so I don't need to stalk you, quote unquote. But everybody else, I'm definitely like I got my eyes on people. I want to make sure that I think for me the number one thing is information, right? So do I know what I am the best at? Do I know what they are the worst at? What is the delta? How do I make decisions based on those two pieces of information?
Is the Delta Max?
Almost never.
Yeah.
You both are such capital G gamers.
Who's both?
Who, me or Roger?
Oh, well. I was getting at you,
There's three
Dalton,
of us.
but
Oh, okay.
all right. The delta is you three.
Yeah. I love competing, and I think for me, like going back to our earlier topic, like the motivation for me is to continue competing. Like I love competition, and I love aspiring to beat Chris. I think it's just like so fun. Like it's just like an endless treadmill.
Yeah.
Just trying to catch up to players like Chris, who is really like tier -1 when you think about, like, if you think about tier 0 being like the top, like I think Chris is almost like has transcended what that looks like, because
it's difficult to really talk about like
some of his stuff is just ridiculous.
What he's doing without just like it's almost not even worth talking about.
It's really not. It's just he's just on another plane. Like I think tier 0 we should say like our KAC finalists.
Yeah.
And then kind of go like 0.5 tiers from there. but like, man, what a player.
Yeah, I mean, Chris. So to on the topic of Chris, he won the Infinity Stage tournament.
He did.
Like, never. I don't think he lost a single song.
He didn't.
He didn't lose a single song to anyone. He didn't use his pocket pick, which was Fascination Max.
I came closest. I got him -4 EX on Puberty Dysthymia.
Oh yeah, that was close.
I should have won
So
that.
close.
And just watching him, like, how do you stay motivated when you're thinking about Chris? Because whenever I think about Chris, sometimes I'm just like, is that like, I just can't do that. I don't have the time for that. I don't have the dedication for that. I got other stuff to do. In my head, I'm like, yeah, I just, I don't want to be that good, even though I really do, right?
Sure. You want to be that good, you just don't want to put in all the time and effort.
I don't want to go to round one four nights a week. And
Well, I know. So I'll answer first, and I know Amber's been grinding a lot of DDR.
Yeah. How do you both? You both have been playing a lot. Me and Dalton kind of have
you've been on a hiatus. I know, but so quickly, I'll just say, like, for me, my goal is not to be Chris, but it is to beat Chris. And so, like, I see that as kind of like the end game. Like, he is the end boss of DDR. You know what I mean? And so when I play him, I feel absolutely nothing but joy, which was beautifully captured by Bimani style photographer Steve, aka Error. You can see in my face I feel blessed to be on the same pad as him in the grand finals as it was for this tournament, but like,
very
basically
impressive.
whenever.
Just gotta say,
basically whenever. Thanks. So like, it's just like, so I think it's all about your perspective. When you step on the pad, when you think about the scores DDR gets, or the scores Chris gets on DDR, do you count yourself out immediately, like Roger was saying? If you do, I would say that that's like not the right attitude to have if your goal is to be the best.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
It's difficult.
Kind of like a cyclical thing.
Whenever I go play, a lot of times I watch Chris videos before I go to the arcade. Like, and I think his MFC videos specifically are the ones that I can like relate to, because I watched his Elemental Creation MFC video like a bunch of times, and I'm like, like, I can see how you do it. Like, before he did it, it wasn't clear to me that it could be done. Yeah. And then he did it, and I was like, oh, okay, like it's like possible to do that.
Yeah, you just have to memorize it and play it on 2.5x.
But I think that is like that. So that is the end result. And I think being results-oriented isn't like a super good way to play DDR. Yeah. And I made a Facebook post about this, talking about my experience with Infinity Stage, which was, again, amazing. But I think it's like, the idea is like, you have to enjoy the game and enjoy practicing, because what you don't see in Chris's video, where he MFC's Elemental Creation, is the 300 tries it took to get there. You know what I mean? And like, Chris is slogging through that with blood, sweat, and tears the entire way until he gets that goal. But I think you have to enjoy like the process before you can enjoy the results. So I'll toss to Amber, because I know, again, she's been like gushing about DDR lately, so I'd love to hear her answer this as well.
No, totally. And I mean, I think, at this point in, where I am competitively with DDR, Chris is completely untouchable. But I also, like, exactly like you said, Omid, it is really about the perspective of the amount of work that it takes to get good at this game, because it's a highly physical video game with a lot of just technique and accuracy and all of these things that take a lot of time to do and to learn. And so I think for me, it's just a really healthy reality check when I'm like, man, I played that song 4 times in a row and I flagged it. And then you get really, these underlying details of Chris grinding for these MFCs where you're like, damn, like, that is amazing to know, just as a gut check for myself, where I have so much more to do to get to that point. And so it's not like I'm failing. It really is just, I need to continue to work. And no, I think it's really exciting to see Chris get the scores that he does, even though right now it's something that I can't touch, because it does show everyone, the possibilities of this game.
I like one of the things I really like about Chris's sort of his internet like persona nowadays is that he likes to post how many tries that it took him to get something.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like a definite shift from like the way DDR players have acted before, where it's like you post a score, you don't tell anyone how many tries it took, you don't tell anyone how many days that you've been trying it, like
out of shame, which doesn't make any sense.
It's like out of shame, and you also want to like sort of like brag at the same time. You like be like, oh yeah, I just went to the arcade, I got this score. I'm not, no details on any of it, but Chris is like, yeah, I played Fascination Eternal Love Mix like 900,000 times, and then I finally got it, and like. It's so respectable. He's almost bragging how many times he had to do it.
Yeah.
Which is I think it's a great like change in the way that people talk about this stuff.
Totally agree. Yeah. Like he's bragging about the work ethic in a way that isn't like boastful. Which is like to me just awesome. Like it's so like that's why I aspire to play DDR like him, because his work ethic is 110%. So his scores are 110%. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did we want to move on to some questions that we got from people?
Yeah, let's talk about some questions.
I think Amber got some as well.
Yeah, she sent them
ask while she's on here.
Yeah. So Snaz said, would you say that accuracy is the most important rhythm game skill as opposed to speed or technique or anything else?
I'll quickly say that accuracy is what wins tournaments. Was it directed at Amber?
I think so.
Okay.
If Amber, I mean, it's not directed at specifically anybody, but.
Well, that's my answer.
Accuracy wins tournaments.
I think it depends. Do you want to play to win tournaments, or do you want to play to get better and enter more tournaments?
Or do you want to just play to have fun?
Lose weight? There's so many reasons.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I think I kind of default to technique first, because with technique comes refinement, and you can work on it from there. I mean, I think you need to be a well-rounded player in order to win tournaments, in order to be, really great at this game. And it's just a number of different skill sets. I think, it's accuracy, it's stamina, it's foot speed, it's song knowledge, it's a lot of different things. But I think, for me, the driving force is technique behind really driving improvement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, you can be accurate. You can have 100 MFCs on 10-footers, but then you have to play in a tournament where it starts at, 13s or 14s. And, if you can't even, PFC, I mean, if you probably can, but you know what I mean? Like, if you can't play the higher level stuff, it's not going to be any good in a tournament, no matter how many like low level MFCs you have. So you have to balance things. Like, I mean, it's great. Like, if that's how you enjoy the game, if that's the level, like, you like playing the game, like, go for it. That's amazing. I don't have the patience to get that many MFCs, but I totally respect anybody who does. So yeah, I mean, it's just about kind of how you want to approach the game, or like what you get out of it.
That's 100% the first question.
Yeah, I think the accuracy stuff is the most fun, and obviously being able to do like really crazy tech stuff is like, you can't be accurate if you can't do it at all. But I think it's probably the most important thing, especially with DDR, where the tournaments are based around EX score. And, you don't, I would say that if you're like a developing player, you probably don't want to optimize too hard on accuracy too early. It's like, if you're just like, getting, full combos or PFCs like on 13s, 14s, 15s, I wouldn't worry too much about like trying to make your accuracy like amazing right then, because you can get stuck on a plateau like me where you don't you don't develop the technique for the stamina songs. So I would say don't worry about it. Like, if it makes you feel really good, maybe do some stuff that makes you feel bad. on purpose.
Yeah.
Doing stuff
Totally.
that makes you feel bad is what makes you a better player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me, one of my biggest takeaways from Infinity Stage is just identifying my weaknesses. Am I really good at Ishtar? I think I am. Am I not so great at Prey? I'm really not so great at Prey. So I think it is just, learning a set of skills and continuing to grow and refine them as you go.
Mm-hmm. And Carrie asks for Amber, what are your DDR goals to close out the year now that you won Valkyrie?
Oh, that's such a good question. I have been deep into Life 4, and if we want to talk about other motivators, that's a big one for me. So by the end of the year, I really want to hit Amethyst. So I gotta go into hard stuff, and I'm not super looking forward to it, but I know it's where I need to improve. So I gotta get the 19 clear lamp. I gotta improve, I think, 3 18s, and then get maybe 5 more 16 PFCs. So I'll be super happy if I get that done. By the end of this year.
You can do it. I believe in you.
I hope so. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do my best.
Keekster says, how did Amber get so cool?
Oh gosh, am I supposed to answer that one? I don't know. I don't think I'm cool.
I think being in the scene for a long time did it.
Oh yeah.
I think her big ass heart did it. She's just Amber's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life, and it's hard to say how much she cares about everybody.
Yeah,
because she does.
Very, very true.
What more can you say?
I can personally attest to that fact.
I think it's just all the DDR.
It's done your brain, right? One thing that a lot of people may not know about you, Amber, is that you've also TO'd a fairly popular remote Ace tournament called Summer Fairy Tale that yours truly placed very highly in both the co-ed and the upper division.
Yeah.
It's a very good, very nice way of saying you won.
But
O means nothing if not humble.
Polly asks, will we ever get Summer Fairy Tale 2? P.S. Congrats on your first place victory.
Oh, that's so nice. Yes, I have been thinking very hard about it, and I really, really want to continue the series on. I think it's just a matter of timing and a matter of yours truly finding the brain capacity to do it. So totally want to. If anyone wants to help, let me know. Just at me on Twitter at Nuggety. I would love more support, but I would love to make it happen for sure.
Desklamp asks where the names Ambones and Nuggety come from.
Oh, that's a great question. So Ambones is pretty easy. My name's Amber. I whine a lot, and I also run sometimes. So I run at least a half marathon every year. And one of my good friends during college, whenever I would get home, she's like, "How are your bones feeling?" So started calling me Ambones, and just stuck. Nuggety was just a very silly, like, chicken nuggets based thing. So it's still stuck around, but
which is ironic because you're vegan,
I know.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't eat chicken, but Nuggety is sort of stuck around. Ambones has stuck around a little bit more.
Have you heard of Nugs? There's a new fake chicken nugget called Nug.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about.
Is it with a Z?
We haven't talked about food nearly enough on this episode.
I'm so excited. No.
Just search for it. I think it's a very interesting product. I think what they're doing is they're trying to do the the Impossible Beyond Meat thing, except for chicken nuggets, which I think is a great thing to do.
Well, I just started
Amber's
sweating
well,
in
right?
excitement.
Yeah. Amber, you're vegan, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's perfect.
I love it. Yeah, I want to talk all day about the Impossible Burger. So, Roger, if you're ever thinking about, a spin-off or a different podcast around the Impossible Burger, let me know.
I mean, didn't you just did a live stream about it?
Yeah, I did a live stream about
Did you?
Yeah, about the Impossible Burger and the Carl's Jr. Beyond Meat Burger. So,
what was the verdict?
I liked the Carl's Jr. version better. I think they had like the smokier taste helped me, I think. But let's stick with DDR.
let's see if there are more questions here.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I know. Thank you to everybody who wrote in with questions for us. SF Turnip Mason asks, do all of you on the panel have a set you warm up with?
Ooh, that's a great question. I like to warm up with either 10s or 14s.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. It depends on like how much time I have at the arcade. If I have a limited amount of time, then I kind of warm up with harder stuff, like 15s or 14s and 15s. If I know I'm gonna be there for like 3 or 4 hours, then I start with like, I'll play this. Someone will choose a song. I'll play it on difficult.
Yeah.
You know.
If I have to pick one song that almost always makes it into my first set, though, it's Sandblow Expert, because it's just like one of my favorite charts.
I played that as my warm up.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Set, or yeah, I mean, it really gets your legs moving with those crossovers.
Yep.
Yeah, I usually go for Zephyrantes.
Yeah,
which I think is a really well.
Yep.
I'm stupid and I play like 14s, 15s, and sometimes
no, I'd agree with
17s on my first set.
It's like relatively fast, but the patterns are pretty simple.
Yeah, and it like starts out kind of slow.
So you're warming up during the song.
Yeah, you're warming up during the song.
Yeah.
Like it starts out like a little bit more sparse with just kind of 8 notes, and then by the end you get a lot more 16ths. So like even within the song, you're kind of warming up as you go. So that's kind of
this has got to be a California thing, because I feel like I tackle it so differently. So I'm like generally always playing 14s and 15s for my warm-up set. And typically like what I navigate to is songs that I'm trying to PFC that I haven't yet, but I've played a lot. So like for example, I know like during some of my warm-ups recently I was playing Trip Machine, Phoenix Expert a lot, just to see how it would shake out and like set the tone for the day. Or like I don't know, Destination I think was another one, just to see like how my reflexes were feeling and how my timing was feeling early on. So it's so interesting, and I kind of want to try going towards easier stuff just after hearing this. I'm getting some good advice.
I think it sets the, like if you're playing easier stuff, it sets your accuracy kind of in stone. Pretty quick, I think.
So
that's why I do it.
I mean, you know, I don't play easy stuff, but I also don't play stuff that I'm working on for my warm up sets usually. Like unless I'm
maybe I should.
Like when I was just working on like the 14 folder, like then I would and try and knock some out my first set. But like I usually consider my first set to be like a wash. Like I use it as a warm up set. So like I'm playing stuff like I already have like an SDP on Zephyrantes, but like which actually I got in a warm-up set of all things, but like you know, I play stuff that I'm not going to get mad at if I don't do well on, you know, because you don't want to start off like trying really hard to get a score and then like you're not really warmed up
and you hurt yourself or something. Well,
not even hurt yourself, you just hurt your brain. For, like,
you like, get tilted for no reason.
Yeah, you feel bad about yourself. You're like, you know, if I try too hard my first set of like really wanting to like PFC a new song and I like can't do it immediately, like. And usually your MA is not that great first of the day anyway.
This is why you play 10s.
Yeah, I mean, I love playing with people. Like, I know I may be a quote-unquote top player that has, like, a hot take. Like, I like to play socially. Like, I like other people to be there because, like, my warm-up set, my dream warm-up set is I play Versus with someone who's really nice and they just pick all 4 songs. Like, that's my ideal warm-up set.
Yeah.
And I'll play 17s, I'll play 19. I don't really care. I just don't want to have to pick because of reasons that everybody's kind of touched on, which is just, like, staying out of my own head. Like, the fact that it's, like, random means I might just get a random up score. But it doesn't matter because I didn't pick the song, so I'm not tied to any outcome. Yeah. Just like all this attached stuff.
Or you
downstream
play stuff that you wouldn't otherwise play.
Play stuff I wouldn't otherwise play. Like, if I already have a lamp, like if Felmo, if I have Felmo PFC and I have like Felmo Expert PFC and I have the difficult PFC, then I'll just play the basic and it's just like I'm just warming up. Like you said, it's a wash. Like whatever. I'll get the 5 perfects on basic, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to have a controversial opinion.
Yeah, do it. Controversy.
I love it. I love having my controversial opinion. I'm owning it. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should switch strategies and just try it out. I'll try out the songs I want to PFC on.
I mean, like even with the qualifiers, like like trying to play qualifiers like the first set of the day. Like you go to the arcade and you're like, I'm going to play the qualifiers right now. And like trying to play them the first set of the day can be so disheartening.
Well, got 55 perfects on Horatio and 3 greats and 2 misses.
Yeah.
That's specific to Horatio and not the first set of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I don't know. I tried to play
Shout out to Horatio.
No shout outs to Horatio.
I tried to play high
shout-outs.
school. I played High School Love and got like 30 on it.
Yeah.
Like
Horatio.
just not quite there.
Never again.
MLG Pro MI says for Amber, should KAC have separate women's title for DDR like Poppin' Music does? Why is Poppin' the only game that has that? I think it is anyway.
Weird.
And then who would be the most interesting competition in this hypothetical category?
Oh my god, this is such a layered question, and I'm like throwing my arms up in the air with excitement because 1,000% KAC should have a women's division. I mean, I think like any tournament, you know, think about having a women's division because seeing women in competitive atmospheres is going to drive more women to play. And it's so exciting. So yeah, 1,000%. I have no idea why Poppin' Music is the only one that has a women's division. So TBD on that answer. I'm just not sure. And then the last part was who would be amazing in it.
Like
I don't
who
know.
would be the most interesting competition? Like who do you think would be kind of up there at the top?
It so depends on how they do KAC qualifying, right? But,
Yeah, true.
That kind of aside, I mean, I think all the women that we saw in top 4 for Valkyrie Ascension are just such incredible candidates. There are so many incredible Japanese women players. 417 is incredible. Rabbit Inn is so incredible. Shizuka is really, really amazing at this game.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if there was a women's division, if that would like inspire more women to like play the harder
Absolutely.
stuff more.
It seems like a great idea.
I feel like
Yes.
Shizuka would pop the F off because
Yes.
she has some crazy videos
She's so good.
on 19s.
Yeah, when I
mind-blowing
when I
videos.
when I played with her in
a Kaiden video.
yeah, when I played with her Kawasaki Warehouse when I was in Japan,
Oh my
and
God.
and I was just kind of like, oh, you want to play a game together? And she's like, sure. And I was like, oh, you can pick the first song, and she just goes like straight to the 17 folder, and it's just like half of them are like green full comboed. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
If you haven't heard of Shizuka, Brosoni is her husband, so that's how you might know her from the scene. He proposed to her at qualifying tournament in Japan.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and I think Kafwin too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She
She
didn't.
is
Yes.
really good.
Yeah,
She would be up
she
there.
didn't enter DDR this time because she's been focusing more on Pump lately. So
She'd
she
be
was
up
at
there.
Infinity Stage, but she entered
Mhm.
Pump because she's been focusing on that a little bit more. But I think if she had the right motivation for KC,
Totally.
she could destroy too. And yourself, Amber.
Konami,
Shucks.
you gotta do it.
I know you can't say yourself,
We
but
know you're
I'll,
listening, Konami.
I'll say it for you that you'd
Thank
be
you.
right up there too. So,
Thank you.
Konami, please.
And Cygnus asks, what do you think holds a lot of female players back from getting better at dance games? And what has made you a better player?
Yeah. I mean, I think just pushing the boundaries of what you're comfortable with. I think it's interesting, and it's hard because I feel like I can really only speak for myself, right? DDR is so fascinating because it is such a highly visible game. So you have to physically walk into an arcade and physically put a credit in and physically move your feet in front of a bunch of people. And that can be like really uncomfortable for a woman playing video games. So to get to that point where, you know, you are not just working on things that you're comfortable with, but adding this other layer of, you know, I'm going to start trying hard songs and I could potentially fail things, and it can be really uncomfortable. And I feel like that's a universal. I don't think that's specifically for women, but I think that's for a lot of players within the game. You find the things that you're good at and you sort of stick with it. But yeah, I know for me personally, that was a big hurdle to get over, where I just needed to be okay with not crushing every song or every score that I was playing. So I think, yeah, having the Valkyrie Dimension tournaments really pushed the boundaries of what I thought I could do. has been a huge change in my own perspective. I think having a sense of community where you can see what other women are capable of. So all the ladies that we've already talked about, seeing their scores really pushes me to want to do more of my best. And then now I think it is just this additional really exciting layer of women's tournaments. So really giving this different level of visibility for women who take this game super seriously and dedicate, time and energy and money and travel commitments to, not just learning and getting better, but also to competing against one another. So I think there are just some natural barriers towards progression, but I'm hopeful that this is the best spot we've ever been in as a community to sort of break them down. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that answered the question, but there's just a lot of things to be really excited about, I think, as a woman player in this game right now.
It seems like, the DDR community, from what I've seen across the time I've been in the scene, the DDR community has always been good about women being in the scene, I feel like, compared to other gaming communities. And I think part of it is probably due to the fact that it's a very social game. And, I think that because you have to go someplace and talk to people, it tends to sort of like maybe sand off the rough edges from the players, and maybe that kind of has some factor.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. There's such good diverse representation of both everything from gender to sexuality to ethnicity. There's just, and everybody is accepting of everybody else. It's really cool to see, and I think the more we can create these kinds of spaces, supportive spaces, Valkyrie, Life 4, etc. It's just awesome. I agree with Amber. I don't think DDR has ever been this awesome.
Yeah. Kind of on that note, actually, we had a question sort of about this from Kevin Turner on Twitter, who basically says, compared to other esports, DDR does have a pretty good representation of women at the highest levels of play. Do you think there is something different about the DDR scene that allows or encourages better representation?
That's really interesting. I think I would have given you a different answer probably a year ago. And I think it is just because there are such strong women right now in this community who are really taking on these big initiatives and, really just investing a lot of their own time and resources into building communities. So I think it's just, part of it is just this fearlessness of wanting to do something and then doing it yourself instead of just, waxing poetic on what could be. I can't thank the Galaga ship enough for putting the structure of this tournament together. You also have to look towards events around sort of the dance game community that have inspired it and propelled it forward. So you have to mention Girlpocalypse. That's also going on this weekend. So fun fact, you should watch it. But yeah, just a, ITG competitive tournament in foot speed and stamina and timing where it is elevating women competitors to a different level. Bay Science is another one too with Pump It Up. So I think it's just a lot of women who are putting in the time to make these spaces happen. So it's really, really incredible.
Oh, Knock asks, how lightly or heavily should I be stepping when trying to score on fast, stamina-draining songs? When I watch Amber play, I notice I can hardly hear her steps. It's crazy that he can't hear your steps. Because you just have those big honking feet that just make such big impacts. So I don't know how it...
Yeah, clown shoes over here. That's what they call me at my local arcade.
Clown shoes Amber.
It's such a good question because I feel like I'm the anomaly where I don't step loudly. And a lot of people, I think, who are, high-level players or really good MA players step pretty heavily, and I just don't. I think I'm just going to blame it on, anti-clown feet. Yeah.
Anti-clown technology.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shoes also play a factor in that. That like different shoes make different sounds. Like
Totally.
I switched from my Nike Freeze, and I started. I just gave a shot to these like New Balances, New Balance 639s or something like that. Which they have like a much more solid bottom to them than than the squishy bottom of the Nike Freeze, and they definitely made like a much louder sound, which I feel like was good for MA and stuff, but they were not as flexible, so I could not do crossovers in them.
I think there's a lot of good players who step lightly too, like Matt Magden. He steps pretty lightly, and he's incredibly good. Kevin Bodie, he steps pretty lightly
and reads slow.
So it's like, I think if you can get away with stepping lightly and getting marvelouses, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't.
Just whatever works for you. But I mean, I do think it is important, on those higher level songs to try to rein in your technique a little bit
because it slows you down
and your form. Yeah, I mean, if you're stomping that loud, like it slows you down and it uses more energy. So like, you kind of have to find that sweet spot, like depending on whatever score you're going for. Like if I'm playing an 18, I'm not necessarily going for like a marvelous on every single step. Like I'm going for a perfect. So I'm not, it's kind of a different sort of mindset when you're playing those higher level things that you can't go and like, unless you're like Chris, like you can't go 100% on every single step. Like you kind of have to make a little bit of sacrifices to balance out the whole song. Cause like if you go super hard at the beginning, you're gonna tire yourself out halfway through.
Yeah, I think another interesting thing too. So another really cool thing just from participating in the tournament over the weekend was watching, parts of the Twitch stream where for me, I don't get a whole lot of opportunity to really scrutinize my form. And so going back to just watch how I play things, is really changing my perspective on things I can experiment with. And so I think part of that is just looking at, where are you expending too much energy? Is the energy that you're using, like, is it impacting how loudly you're stepping? Is that something you can do a little bit differently? But I think at the end of the day, for me at least, just trying to be open to trying different styles or different, ways to hit arrows, all four of them, it's just interesting because you learn things from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Total non sequitur, but my one of my coworkers asked, "How was your weekend?" And I said, "Oh, it had some ups and downs." and she's which I literally meant, or I meant it had some ups and downs. And she goes, "Oh, like what were the ups?" And I said, "Oh, well, I did this DDR tournament thing." And she goes, "Oh, so it had up, downs, lefts, and rights."
That's so good.
Nice.
She's very clever.
Nice.
I think that's enough questions. Should we move on to our tap set of the week?
Let's do it.
What do we think? Ambones, do you want to kick us off?
Ambones!
Oh boy. So I can start. My pick is going to be Roppongi Evolved version D. So this was my pocket pick during Valkyrie Ascension, and I think my most recent 15 PFC. It's a good song to be good at, and it's a good song to know. So get out there and learn it. Learn the weirdness, embrace it. It's so strange, but it's so much fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I would get wrecked on that.
Yeah.
Because you have to read it slow.
You do.
Because it has a fast section.
Sure does.
Or you can use 7+.
You can?
You can.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Be a Hero because I think that was one of my favorite matches in the round robin for Valkyrie. My friend Sarah versus my friend Sarah. Really, really good match. Psy Sarah, the NorCal Sarah, she ended up AAAing all the 17s she played in the round robin, which is super impressive. As we talked about earlier, Eggy Sarah ended up getting 51p PFC, which is insane, to PFC 17s in a tournament. So that's my choice. Be a hero. Not necessarily expert, though you can definitely try if you want.
I mean, do you have anything to say about the song itself?
Be a hero, da 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 da. I mean, it's just like, it's It's not a good song.
Do you like
I don't like it.
Do you
I
like
don't
it?
like it.
Do you
I
like
just
it
think
better
it's
than
hype.
Catch Our Fire?
I like it a lot less than Catch Our Fire because I think Catch Our Fire is a more fun song to listen to, and it has better steps. And it has better sync.
See,
so.
I played Be a Hero the other day actually, and I'm coming around. I'm coming around on it. Actually.
Yeah, it's a perfectly acceptable song.
I think it's good actually. It's fun. They're like both of those, Be a Hero and Catch Our Fire, are like they're different types of 17s than really anything else.
Yeah.
I think they're good actually.
Yeah, it's just like DDR doesn't really have straightforward streamy 17s. So
Yeah. It's a very ITG chart, which is probably why Iggy was good at it.
Yep.
Because of their background with ITG.
Yep.
They could pass like 18s on ITG. Like stamina, crazy stuff. Like
insane.
I don't understand how that's possible. Honestly.
Yeah. I also don't understand how it's possible how Spanish Snowy Dance is so good.
God.
It's so good.
That's gonna be the worst.
So I mean that's my pick. That was my pocket pick, and that's gonna be my Taps of the Week pick. Because both the Expert 15 and the Challenge 17 are quite challenging.
They are. The 15's almost a 16, and the 17's kind of almost an 18.
Yeah. But I think they're both very good charts, and they do sort of different things. Like the 15 actually has foot switches in it, sort of like the end of Wendy Fairy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the 17 doesn't, which is kind of interesting. It kind of has like
backwards staircases.
Well, it has that too. And yeah, 24th bursts. It just has everything in it. It has jumps, it has the step jumps. It has crossovers. It has 24ths, which I love any song that has 12ths and 24ths in it. That's just like incredibly good.
Yeah.
So, Spanish Snowy Dance, I apologize, is my pick.
Hard as hell.
I'm going to choose Nageki no Ki, which I think we've picked before, but I don't care. And I was watching a bunch of DDR videos earlier today, just looking at charts, and I was looking at the challenge chart. I was like, this is really good. It's like a totally doable 18, I think.
You think?
I think so.
Is that why only like 6 people have PFC'd it?
Well, okay, maybe it's not doable in the sense of the PFC, but I think that as far as it's not gimmicky, there's no speed changes.
Yeah.
So it's also got some really fun crossover stuff and some bracketing.
Yeah.
So play that. You could also play the 16, which is the Expert, or any of the other charts too.
The difficult's probably a 12.
Yeah, it's
13?
probably like a 12.
Yeah,
maybe 11.
I think they're all pretty good.
Yeah,
it's a unique song. It's not especially danceable, but it'll test your MA because there's no like hard drums going on, and so you have to pay attention to the music, and I like it.
It's from 2DX, and it's it's actually one of my favorite charts in 2DX. The Hyper is an 11, and another is a 12. So 2DX goes to 12. So very, very tough on the home game as well.
Amber, do you have any feelings about Nageki no Ki?
I mean, it was the song that knocked me out of top 16 in Infinity Stage, so I have a lot of feelings. But it's a great song. It's a great song. It's a solid chart, I think, on any difficulty.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, so that's your Tap Set of the Week. You can share your scores on Twitter using hashtag Tap Set of the Week.
We'll retweet it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. We'll tell you
we will retweet it, and a lot of people will like the tweet after we retweet it. So if you want to get likes and retweets, post about it.
I will personally commit to a like. I will personally do that.
That's just +2 right there.
That's the Ambones guarantee.
And I think I'll play the set this week.
Same.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm usually good for a like as well. So.
Yeah, and just any score that comes across my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Just like, why not? You're proud of that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, Amber.
Thanks for having me. This was so much fun. You guys are the best.
Yeah.
Go women's tournaments. Watch Girl Apocalypse this weekend. It's going to be so exciting.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of the girls went to where? France?
Yep.
Normandy?
Yep.
For the Girl Apocalypse ITG tournament. It's like stamina, foot speed, very, very hard stuff. So that's going to be streaming. I think the Twitch channel, it's like Girls Apocalypse, actually, isn't it?
It sounds right. I think so.
But yeah, just check it out.
You can post it in our show notes.
Yeah, or we'll retweet them.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out Girlpocalypse.
We'll be uploading some YouTube videos of Infinity Stage to our YouTube channel. So if you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, it's youtube.com/c/sfevolved. I think that's the URL. And follow us on Twitter, SF_evolved on Twitter, SF_evolved on Twitch. We're really excited to get those videos up because I think there's a lot of really great matches.
Mm-hmm. You can watch the replay on Twitch right now, but
yeah, you can.
We want to sort of solidify it a little bit more.
Exactly.
And if you attended Infinity Stage, feel free to check out the Twitter handle at Infinity Stage SJ and check out a couple tweets down. We posted a feedback form, so let us know if you attended, what you thought of the event. Totally anonymous. You don't have to tell us who you are. We want to hear any good and bad feedback, so we can make this even better next year.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have a feedback form about the stream as well. We had 452 followers, I think,
or viewers, yeah,
viewers.
Oh yeah,
on Twitch,
which is a record for us. And I don't want to like talk about it as if we're bragging, but I think that that really shows the momentum of the DDR scene right now, and as it's the most we've ever had on our channel. I think it's the most that anyone in a U.S. tournament has ever had. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's great. It feels great.
The only thing I can think that eclipsed that was Super Extra Exclusive, which was streamed in, multinationally and, on multiple channels like YouTube and Twitch. So, yeah, let's keep hosting tournaments.
Yeah.
Let's keep streaming.
We got more events coming up. Yeah. We'll announce them as we know about them. And I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Our intro and outro music is Watch It Burn by Fraxtal. They have a new song out called Headspace.
Oh my god.
By under the moniker Ash Astral. And so actually, fun fact, this song was released like a year ago.
Got played.
There's a synth file for Ace Shaped. Which
Very
a lot of people
12.
played on ITG, and they were not aware that it was. They knew the chart was made by Ash, but not that the song was. It's kind of a secret thing. But yeah, it was just released, so check that out. It's on YouTube and everywhere else. Support dance game people who make music. So I think that will do it for this week on the Arrow panel.
If you have any feedback at all, if there's anything you want to hear about, just let us know on Twitter.
Yep. And as always, thank you for listening, and
thank you for playing.